Okay, folks, I had a video done already, but my internet has been gaga here. It's causing the machine to shut down. So I'll turn off all the Tales National Anthem there. Okay, so I've actually already recorded this, but I have to do it all over again. All right, so now yesterday all we did was we finished off at get last modified time. Now what get last modified time will return, it will return the time the file was last modified. All right, so if I make a change to it, so if I make a change to the file, I can't believe I have to do this again. So, and here I am now. So I'm going to modify this file. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, I don't. Modify the file. That's just my mother asking me, don't want ice cream. Any of you want ice cream? Woo! This is my file. So modify the file on the 8th of April at 15:39. Okay, that's the time I modified the file at. Sorry, 15:40. Now, so close it down. Now, so if I run this, now, so current time is 15:40. Now, however, it reads here, get last modified time, this file here, it's saying 14:40. Okay, it's saying 2:40 instead of 3:40 up here. The reason being is because it does not take into account daylight savings time. Now you can modify that. I'm not sure how you do it, but you can. All right, so that's going to be year out of date. So what you can try to do instead is you can use something like this down here to milli. All right, now this, we already know that time in Java is based on, it always has to have a start point. Right? Time is always based on some point in the past. Okay, we know this is the 8th of April. Okay, what is it based on? It's based on the Latin character, or it's based on a date in the past. Let's say the date 0. It was brought in by, I think, I don't know, one of the Caesars. I think it was Caesar Augustus. Okay, so it's a point in the past. Now, for Western European nation, or for European nations and most of the Western world, the point in the past where time, where our dates come from, is 2020 years ago. Okay, now with Java, year 0 is the 1st of January 1970. All right, now what this does here, so my file was last modified at, not at 14:40, but at 15:40. Okay, now when you go to milli, that is that time, which is going to be 1.58 trillion milliseconds since the 1st of January 1970. Okay, so the file was modified 1.5 trillion milliseconds after the 1st of the 1st, 1970. The file was modified 1.5 billion seconds after the 1st of the 1st, 1970. The file was modified 18,360 days after the 1st of the 1st, 1970. Now, to prove that it is doing that, what I do is I go to Google and I'm going to put it in here. Okay, so I don't want it full screen. And I'm just going to ask it, what date is days ago? Now, this is on the 4th of April 2020. Okay, this is the 4th, or sorry, this is the 8th of April 2020. So what date is 18,360 days ago? Go away from me. Thursday, the 1st of January, 1970. Okay, so now I don't think it will do. Let me just see hours. Okay, so I will try put it in here. This is the amount of hours since January 1st, 1970, when this file was modified. And we will go plus. We'll go on to the next line. And we're going to go files get last modified file dot to time unit hours. Now you can do days, hours, microseconds, milliseconds. I don't know what microsecond is. Milliseconds, minutes, nanoseconds. Geez, I don't even want to begin what you'd put in for nanoseconds. So if I put in hours, now if 1.5 billion, if it's 18,360, it's going to be approximately 400,000 hours, I think, approximately. Let's just have a look. Uh, 440,000 hours. Okay, so 440. So it's been, the file was modified 440,000 hours, 650, sorry, 440,654 hours after the 1st of January 1970. Now, if you want to actually find out, no, I haven't this done out, so this is another thing you have to come back to. If you want to find out how many seconds, how many minutes, how many hours have actually passed since it was last modified, you'd get the time it was modified, and you'd subtract it from the current time. Okay, now I will do that in another lesson, all right, because I haven't got it thought out yet. Okay, now you can set the modified time. Okay, so this get last modified time probably isn't great, all right, because, all right, so I go files dot set modified, set last modified time file. Okay, we go file time dot, so if I print this out, let me just see now, I actually forget what this is going to be. So if I don't have that going in it, okay, now if I put that in there, let's see what that's. So what that does is this sets the current time. Okay, it sets the current time to be the time was last modified, and again it doesn't take into account daylight saving time. Okay, it doesn't take into account daylight saving time. So this, okay, so what I'm trying to say is that it's not the get last modified time can be spoofed, can be changed. All right. Because you can see here, if you go set last modified time, file, and I'm going to set it, what am I going to set it to? Now you can set it in file time that from millis, current time millis, that's going to get the current time in milliseconds. You can get the current time in hours. You can get the current time in minutes. You can get the current time in seconds. Okay. Now that is going to be the current time in milliseconds, which is basically the amount of milliseconds since the 1st of January 1970. Okay, up to the current time. That's the amount of milliseconds. All right. So what you're actually doing is you're changing the last modified time to the current time. Okay, so what is this doing here? This is changing the last modified time to current time. Okay, so let me just see, run it again. 1450, yeah, 1550. All right, so you can change the last modified time. All right, so this is changing the last to the current time. Now, it doesn't hold its value. What I mean by that is every time you run it, now this is only a temporary change. Okay, this is only a temporary change because watch. Each time I run it, so set last modified time, then I files.get last modified time 1450. Okay, but yeah, so it actually is permanent change. What am I saying? Okay, we can see here that the get last modified time has been changed to 1450. Now let's just wait for a minute. Okay, now it's gone to 1551. Okay, so you can see the current time has gone to 1551. All right, now I run this code again. Now it has changed the current time to 1451. Okay, now get last modified time has been set to 1450, which is what was set the last time we ran this code. If we run this code again, it's going to be 1451.18. Watch. So at the minute, this is 1450 40. Okay. Now we change the last modified time to 1451.18. Okay, 1451.18. Now I'll run the code again. Okay, there it is. See it? That was what was set to be the last modified time. Okay, that's what's set to be the last modified time. And when we run our code again at the very start of it, the modified time is 1451.18. Okay, now why would you do this? If you have a series of files, you want to timestamp them. You want to timestamp them that they're last being modified. But you all want to say that they'll all be modified at the same time. All right, so you can go through all your files and set the last modified time to be that particular time. All right, so you can see all the files were created at the same time. Now they might have been created at the same time. They might have been a couple of seconds apart, could be minutes apart. All right, but you just want to timestamp everything to say it was created at the same time. So you're installing an application to your machine. You want to say that all these files were created at the exact same time, even though they mightn't have been. There might be a couple of seconds of delay. If you're installing the .NET framework, that can take, depending on your machine, depending on the size of it, that can even take an hour to install. Okay, So at the end of that, then you could have an hour difference between one file written and another file written, but you want them all to say they're put in the same time. So you would change the last modified time so they're all the same. Okay. Now, so, but of course, if you can change the last modified time, that means that this isn't really reliable guide as to when a file has been modified. Okay. Because you can change it. Okay, so you can change the time to say that was modified. So you can lie, basically. Okay. So even if you get last modified time, you can't be sure that the file hasn't been modified in an intervening period. Okay, it could have been modified in an intervening period. So this really isn't foolproof to find out when a file was last modified. Okay. Now, so files.get, so we can see there that is going to set it to, we're going to say the file was modified at this particular time at 1544. So we can see 1544, that was the last time it was modified. Run it again. You can see it's 1444 here. Okay. Now, so now we'll come back to something I need to do in that follow, but I probably won't be doing it until our next lesson. So the next one, static void ex3. Now, so this is something called get owner and set owner. And set owner. Now, I don't know if this will work on your version of Windows. Okay, it just about worked on mine. I'm Windows professional. Okay, this is really more about Unix operating systems rather than Windows operating systems. Okay, now, so first thing you need to do this. This is about the concept of user-owned files and directories. Okay, and this is more a facet of Unix. It's more a facet of Unix and by extension Android, because Android is Unix. Okay, Android is based on Unix, so Android is Unix. Okay, all right. So this is what the concept of user-owned files and directories is more of a facet of Unix and by extension Android. Okay. Now, so the idea now, as I say, I'm not a Unix expert, but as far as I can remember, maybe one of you can correct me on this. You can send me an email. Is that every file, every directory has what's called a owner. Okay. There isn't really owners in Windows. Okay, there just are. All right. So you can set up owners, I think, in Windows. I'm not sure how to do them. All right. Now, I don't know much about this owner crack. I'm really out in a limb here. All right. So now, as far as I know, this code will not work on average Windows 10 installation. Okay. As far as I know, it will work somewhat Windows 10 Professional. Okay. Right. Windows 10 Professional or whatever version of Windows we're using as you read this. Okay. Now, a Windows Server will work. So now, I don't know what Windows Server is currently called. Maybe it's another version of Windows 10 Professional. I don't know. Okay. So Windows, I don't know what Windows Server is called. Windows Server, this code will work on it, because the server has to use user-owned files. Okay, and as I said, I'm out on a limb here because I don't know feck all about Unix. All right, so I could be talking through my arse here, but so I'm only covering the stuff we need to know for the exam. All right, now so try. Now, if you want to get the admin of the machine, okay, so catch. I'm going to say, so this is first exception. So I'm going to have two try catch by caught. See. Okay. Now, so there is, if you want to find who the admin is on your machine, okay? If you want to find out the admin on this machine, all right, this is what you have to do. So this creates a owner, which in my case is the admin of this machine, which is me on my own machine. Now my own machine is called, imaginatively, I should give it a better name, I know. You can actually change the name of your machine. This is the name of my machine. Okay, so this is the name of my machine. Bother me arse changing it. And the owner, the admin on this machine is called, okay. So the owner is made up of the name of the machine followed by the in this case, the admin of the machine. Now you can set up other users on your machine. So users. So let me just see. How do you add up different users? That would be so much easier in Windows 11. I don't know how to add up the users. Okay, it is possible to add up the users. But the main user I have on my machine, I have only one account set on my machine. So users are just accounts. All right, that's me. Imaginatively called no left. So this is the name of the machine we're currently on. This is the admin of the machine. All right. So what I'm going to do, I have to do the following. So user principal. Now, user principal. That's right. Import user principal. Now, as far as I can remember, let me just have a second here now. So user principal. User principal. Data type. Let me just see what to say about you. Oh, Jesus, the oracles thing is really, really bad. So user principal. Okay, so what is Okay, right. So user principal is an owner. Okay. So user principal, is that correct? That's right. So that's an interface. Okay. So they're not called owners in Java. What they're called are user principals. Okay. So when you're creating an owner, you have to use something called the user principal interface. Okay. So it's equal to, in this case, file systems dot get. So when you're using file systems, you're talking about this baby, that get default. So I need to import file systems. Okay. I'm going to go get user principal lookup service. Lookup principal by name. Jesus, this is long, isn't it? No. Now, this is creating a user or an owner. Okay, user principal. That's what an owner is. An owner in Java is a user principal. Okay, why they don't call it owner, I don't know. Okay, so file systems that replies to current machine, get default. It's going to get the default is going to be the admin. Get user principal lookup service. I do not know what that is. Okay. I'm trying to use the principal lookup service for the file system. The resulting lookup service needs to look up user or group name. Okay. So that look for looking up users. Okay. So that part there is for looking up users. Look up principal name. This is what we use to look up users. And this is what we use to look up a particular user by name. Okay. So it's going to look for owners called null if. All right. It's going to get the default user. The default user is the admin user. This is what we're going to be used to look up the user, and then we're going to look it up by name. Okay. So file systems is the current machine. Get default is the admin. This is what we're going to use to look up the different users. We're going to look up, now you can have multiple admins on a machine. So we're going to look up for an admin called null if. Is there one called null if? Put it on here. I'm going to say owner of. So this owner is, so if I go owner, ex3. I know, isn't this really fucking boring, isn't it? Ugh. Jesus, we nearly finished it. Right to the finish today. Okay. All right. So it's saying there this owner is laptop. So you can see that's the name of the machine, followed by null f. And it just has the name user. Now that should be coming up as an admin. I don't know why that's not coming up as an admin, because I am an admin. That should be saying admin. Don't know why, because I am an admin on this machine. I know, because I can do anything with it. All right, if I just want to get the name, I can say this owner's name is with no plus owner dot. So you can get name, fairly limit what you can do. So get name just gets me the name. Okay, put in the owner, it says what type of user you are, it just has a user. Now I thought it should be displaying admin there, right? I don't know why it's not displaying admin, because I am an admin on this machine. All right, now that's how you actually create an owner in. Now this is an owner that is the admin. All right, this is the owner that is the admin. All right, now I am going to try and get the owner of a particular file. Okay, now this may not work on your machine. All we're getting here is what account. So the owners in this case correspond to an account on the machine. All right. Now, I think that's different with Unix. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I have created an owner. The owner corresponds to an account on the machine. All right. So this is an account. Okay. It's assigned to that variable. So owner.getName, that's an account on my machine. That's the machine name followed by the name of the account. All right. So I want to get the name of the account that created a particular file. Okay. So I'm going to have catch exception E. And this is going to be, say, second exception. Now, so this is the file we want to find the owner of, which is me, which is the account on this machine that created this file. Okay, so I'm going to go path. Path is equal to paths get, and this is going to be this file. I created this file, so it should be getting strange. Right. Now, so I'm showing you how to create an owner. Okay, that's how you create an owner. But if I want to get the details of a particular owner, which is a particular account in Windows, now I think the principle of owners it's more of a Unix construct, but here it's just basically corresponds to an account on a machine. Okay. Okay. Now, so I go here. I go the owner. This file is. If I go here, I go it's files.get owner, and I'm just going to put in path. So it will get an owner. So if I print off this user, now I only want the name. Okay, I only want the name. So I say dot get, oops, fuck yeah, dot get name. Let me just see what class does this say this is. Get class. Let me just see what class it actually says it is. Yeah, it's a window user principal. Okay, so get owner. An owner is actually a user principal. Okay, so an owner is actually a user principal. So I can say that here. So an owner is actually the data type user principal. Okay, now it's an interface. It's actually a object that implements the user principal interface. Okay, so if I go here, dot get name. So that's the name of the person who created this file, me. Okay. Now, if I want to, now I can get the person who owned this file. However, I do not have the correct privileges to change the user. Okay. I do not have the privileges to change the user. So get name, so files.get owner, how will that do? This will get the person who created this file in Windows. All right. Now you can set owners in Unix. All right. And you can change owners in Unix as well. Now, this code would work in Unix. It doesn't, this following code I'm going to show you doesn't work in Windows. I'm just going to copy and paste it in. Now, so what you do is user principal owner is equal to path.get file system, get principal lookup server, lookup principal by name. If I change that to node F, and then I go files.set owner. So I'm going to say path and owner. Now, let's just change this to Susie. It's not found. Now, if I had another user on my machine, let me just see how can I quickly add a user. User accounts. So I'm going to quickly create another user. Add someone else to this PC. Let me just see, will it allow me to create a user without a Microsoft account? Oh, bollocks, it won't. All right. It won't bother that for a minute. Okay. Now, I could even try and change that to this. Access denied. One of them. User principal not found. I have it by itself. Access denied. Now, even though the user is no left, so just imagine for a minute we do have another user set up on my machine. I don't have another user set up on my machine. I don't want to do this. All right. If you had another user set up on your machine, let's say the person was called Susie. All right. Now, I can't change it. Access denied exception, because I don't have those. This version of Windows doesn't have the privileges that allow us to change owners of files. Okay. This version of Windows does not allow me to change owners of files, or in this case, change who the operating system thinks created the file. Okay, so this will generate access denied exception. Now, it doesn't matter that it's the same person, so I'm not actually changing it. But even if I attempt to change, it won't let me do it. It gives me an access denied exception. All right. So you can change owners in Unix. Okay, a lot easier than in Windows. Okay. Now let me just try something here. Okay. So I'm just going to go to the original. So I go to my file.txt. I do this guy here, properties. So created, modified, security. So you've got security authenticated users. Okay, so if I right click, so if I click on that, click on edit, system, administrators, users, I don't know which one I'm within there. I'm within there somewhere. Okay, so these are the people who have total access to users. Only can read and execute it. Administrators can do everything. So what's wrong there is I don't have special permissions for any of them. Okay, so advanced. This is no left, this is me. So you can see that the owner is me, right? And it's known, I'm known in the system as no left. So permissions, auditing, continue. Okay, that's definitely something. See there, principal. Okay, now I don't know enough about fucking Windows to go change this, so do you know what? I'm guessing that the reason it doesn't work is that I don't have special permissions on the file. I don't know. I can Google it and see how to get special permissions on files. Okay, I don't know enough about files, networks, that sort of shit. Okay, so now maybe it's the fact because I don't have those special permissions set up. I don't know. Okay, I'd say it's possibly that's the guy we have to change there. All right, so authenticated users, system, that's the admin. Administrators, so administrators doesn't have special permissions. So I'm guessing permissions, system, full control, read and execute, auditing, auditing properties of the object. That could be it. Effective permissions for user group, or if the count is a member of domain. See, I don't know enough about networks to do this, so I'm not going to bother doing it. All right. So now it may be possible to change settings in Windows to allow this to happen. Okay. As I say, knock yourselves out if you want to. Okay. Knock yourselves out to get it. Now, if this did work, okay, if this did work, so let's say, now what I might do is I'm going to set up another user. Okay. I'm going to set up another user called Susie. Okay. I'm going to set up another user called Susie. And I'm going to see, does the set owner work with that? Now, I'm nearly certain it won't work. Okay. If I put in a user that doesn't exist, you get user principal not found exception. If I put in no left, that's me. Saying access denied exception. I'm presuming it's because I don't have those special permissions set up, and I don't know if I can change them in this version of Windows. All right. So this will not. This will generate. This will generate access denied exception. Okay, this will generate access denied exception. Now, so I will look up into, I'll create another user and I'll try and use another user and see what happens to do this. Now I'll try and set up a user that's got all these special permissions bullshit. All right, I'll try and set it up now. I don't know if it's going to work. All right, now, so get owner will quite simply just get the person who created the file. All right, if you create a file in Windows, you're the owner. Simple as that. So if you log into a particular account, if you log in as an admin, Noel, I'm an admin here. I'm the one who created, so that's going to be who the owner is. All right. If I log in as someone called Pat is an ordinary user, an ordinary gobshite, he's not an admin. then Pat will come up as the owner. All right. You can change the owner, which is basically it's a different account. Okay. So you can say that a different account created this file. A different account is going to be the one who's in charge of this file. All right. Windows doesn't really, it's not really for that. Okay. So if I print off this line again, this line is never reached. Okay, so I will come back to this code. I will try putting a different user and see what happens. Okay, I will try putting a different user and see what happens. But I'm fairly certain it's going to come up with that guy again. Access denied exception. Okay, now that's get name and set name. Right, it's more to do with Unix than with Windows. All right, now I'm going to go static. This is the last one, void ex4. Now, so we can access individual attributes of a file, okay? We can access individual attributes of a file by the various methods above. Okay, such as files.size, files.getLessModifiedTime, so i.e. files.size, last modified get last modified time. Okay. Now, these are all separate methods. Okay. There's no one unified object that holds all this information. Okay. This is a static method, size of the files class. This is a static method of the files class. Okay. Now, there isn't one individual object that holds all of these values. Okay. Now, so what you can do is we can create something called a view. Okay. Now, so these are called, put in here, improve access views. Okay. Now, problem with these is that these guys here, they're accessing the file each time. Okay, so it's going to memory checking the size. It's going to memory, it's going to the file, it's checking the last modified time. So it's going to the file and it's checking if it's an executable. Or if it's a regular file, or if it's a symbolic file. Okay. Files is regular, isn't it? So it's this one here. All right, so this will have to access our file, our disk, for each of the above methods. So the file and main memory has to be accessed 4 times, which is slow. Now, so with views, okay, so we can use a view to create a object that will hold all the metadata file. So you will then only have to read the file once, rather than, for instance, above 4 times. So they're called views, but what they really are, it's an object that holds all the information about the file. Okay, so a view is actually an object that holds information, that holds metadata about. Okay, a view is actually an object that holds metadata about a path. Okay, and as it's an object, it's not going to be held in your main memory, it's going to be held in your RAM. So it's going to be really fast. Whereas these guys here, they're accessing the file on the hard drive, so it's going back and forth. And hard drive memory is always slow. So a view is actually an object that holds metadata about a path. Okay. So all that's to do is just access the file once to create an object, and this object holds all the metadata about the file or the directory. Okay. Now, the view is actually called, let me get this right. So, just a second here, a minute. All right. So we're going to create a view here. So the type is basic file attributes. Right, so basic file attributes data. Okay, now, so basic file attributes is exactly it says in the tin. This is a object that will hold all of the basic file attributes of a file or directory of a path. Okay, so basic file attributes, put in here, import. Now there is a number of attribute classes. Okay, so all attribute objects extends basic file attributes. Okay, now we are using read attributes. So basic file attributes data. I'm going to call this instead metadata is equal to. Now, this has to be in a try catch block as well, by the way. It's in here. Now, I need my file again. Paths, path is equal to paths.get the original my file.txt. Right. So we want, so we're going to go here, files dot read attributes. Okay. and then we go path. No, I don't think that'll work. Okay, so we need to put in basic file tributs.class. Too sure. Okay. Right, it's just the way you have to do this. I'm not actually too sure what this is. Okay. Now, what you're doing here is this will contain all of the metadata for this file. Okay. So this creates a object. It's a basic file attributes object. Basic file attributes is a type. This creates an object that holds the attributes file my file.txt. Okay. So now this contains the last modified time. This contains the owner, even though fuck it. This contains information about whether it's a directory or not, whether it's executable or not, whether it's a regular file or not, whether, what else does that say? Whether it's readable or not, whether it's hidden or not. Now, rather than us calling, but each time we do each one of these methods, it's actually accessing the file, all right? Here, it only has to access the file once, and it contains, so metadata is now loaded up into our RAM. It doesn't have to access on the file. So after this, no longer need to access the file, my file.txt. So all the information is held within here. Okay, all the metadata, all the attributes of my file.txt are held within this object. Okay, now files.read attributes. Let's try this. Oops, sorry. Let me just see, is it read? So let me just see. So read attributes is the one. Read attributes, set attributes. Okay, right now, read attributes. This method allows us to only read the file attributes. Okay, read attributes means we can only read metadata. Is it an executable? Is it symbolic file? Is it a regular file? Size of file, etc. But it does not allow us to change metadata. Now, there is other objects that can do that. All right. Now, so this creates a basic file attribute object that you can only read. Okay, what it's for this one. And read attributes takes, its most basic one takes a path. And what you also need, I don't know why you need to do this, but you need to say what it is on the left hand side. Okay, so that one has to match that one. I'm not 100% sure why you have to put that in, but you do. Okay, now, so now all of the information is held. So we can do this. These are all various methods. Now, they're usually the same name as the other types of methods. So this one here, it's metadata too, by the way. So metadata, 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 and metadata. Now you can also do these ones. Now I don't know if these ones work, so we'll just have a look. See, last access time, last modified time. So now it's not accessing the file here. All right. The only time it has to access the file is up here. Okay. Now, if we were using the other methods, let's say files dot is directories, we'd have to put in the path in here. Files dot is regular file, we have to put the path in here. Files dot is symbolic link, we'd have to put the file in here. Files dot is other, we'd have to put the path in here. Creation time doesn't exist as far as I can remember with the other types. So this is the last access time, this is the last modified time, but it's not accessing the file, it's accessing this object. So these are going to be always faster than if you're, so rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 reads to a file, you only have one read from a file there. So these methods are quicker. I'll run them, see do they work. Oops. All right. Now, so I'm going to run this. This is ex4 main. So this was created on the 2nd of April at 12:10. It was last accessed at 3. It was last modified at 3:06. Now, everything goes forward an hour, so it was actually created at 1:10 on the 2nd of April. I last accessed it. Now, accessed it, I think, as far as I can remember, is the time I opened the file. Right? It's not the file, it's not the time I closed it. Right? Because you can see here, this is when I modified it. So this is when I last opened the file. All right, that's when I last opened the file. Okay. This guy here is last opened. All right. And then I modified it at that time. It doesn't show you the time it closed down. Now that might be different with other files, but with text files, that's the way it seems to be. Okay. File creation time, that would have been the time we first hit save. Okay. wouldn't have a record when you started typing it. It will have a record when you first hit save. File last accessed, that's the time it was last opened. Last modified, that's the time, that's the last save. All right, so you could still have the file open, but it'll only show you the last time you saved. All right, now that's with text files. It may be different with other types of files. I'm not too sure about that. Okay. Now, so this is all just accessing this object here. Okay, this is all just accessing this object here. Now, this one doesn't work as far as I know. So if you want to uniquely identify a file, so if available, plus meta dot file key is what it's called. Okay, so that's not available. Right now, you can use ways to uniquely identify a file. So this is not available on this system. Okay, so it's this is not available. Okay. Now, can you get it working in Windows? I don't know. I remember reading somewhere that I don't think it works by default on Windows anyway. So maybe you can get it working. If any of you get it working, fine. Okay. So it's not available in the system. Now, if you want to uniquely identify a file, the handiest one to use to identify a file is something called an MD5. Okay, an MD5 is a unique number that is applied to a file at a particular point in time. Now, what I mean by that is, if I open the file and let's say I do something like this. I open up a notepad file. Okay, and I type in hello there. Right, and I'm going to save this file in originals as, where are we? So original, there we are. And I'm going to call this unique. Okay. Now, I don't have an MD5 application thingy here, but what the MD5 does, there's a command as well in the command line prompt, which I can't remember. All right. There's various utilities that can get this MD5. Now, MD5 is a hash. What's a hash? A hash is a number that usually represents something. Now, MD5 is a hash for a file. Now, the MD5 is generated at a particular point in time for a file, right? Now, if I modify the file in any way, all right? So hello there. Let's say this file, and this file is called unique. Okay, we'll say it's an MD5 of 5, 7, 8, 9, 4, F, A, B, C. They're hash numbers as far as I can remember. Okay, right. Now, if I change the file in any way, the number so there's an MD5 generator. It generates depending on how the file name is, and also if you make any change to the file. So even if I do this, take out the E, and if I save that file, it's going to have a different MD5. Let's say it has an MD5 of 6, 7, 4, 4, 4, A, B, C, F. Okay, and here's the thing. If I change it back to E, it then has a different MD5. It doesn't have the same as that one. Okay, it doesn't revert back to that one. It changes itself again to a brand new MD5. So, or even this. So if I save it now, it's going to have a different MD5. Let's say 7, 7, 8, 9, 9, F, 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 F. Okay. And if I just do something like this, take out, so I'll just make everything bigger here. All right, so this is what we start off with. Hello there. Get rid of hello, put in the E again. Then I save it. Even by doing something like that, that changes the MD5. Okay, the MD5 now is different. All right, so even if you change anything to do with the file, and even if you change it back again to the way it was, the MD5 is going to be different. All right, so and what is an MD5? It's a unique identifier for a file. All right. So this file key here, it's attempting to get a unique number that uniquely identifies a file. It doesn't really work on this version of Windows. MD5 is another system we could use to uniquely identify a file. Okay, actually, which we do. We'll be using in the very last lesson in chapter 10. Okay, so we're going to be encrypting passwords, but also, I seem to remember, we're going to be using MD5 to give a unique identifying number to files. Okay, can't remember how I did it, but I do know that's coming up in chapter 10. Now, so read attributes allows us to just read the attributes. Doesn't allow us to change them. Okay. Okay. Now, if we want to change the metadata, I'm just going to copy and paste all this shit in because I'm getting really fed up with it. There's only one more section to do in this chapter. But Jesus, I'm a bit late because it's fucking boring as hell. Now, so import. Now, so we've seen here basic file attributes. Now we have something here called a basic file attribute view. Okay. Now, when we have a view allows us to change the metadata of a file. Okay. It allows us to change the metadata of Now, it doesn't actually change the metadata of the actual file. What it does is, so this creates an object that represents all of the metadata of this guy. Okay, so this view here is an object that contains, okay, so this view object contains the metadata of modify.txt, which I haven't written in. So let me just see. Do I have a file called modify.txt? All right. So I am going to create a file called modify.txt. So I'm going to go into my C drive, original, and I go here, new. This is going to be called modify. Okay. And I'm going to say modify file. Now, so we're getting, so basic file attributes, data is equal to view.read attributes. Okay. Now, so what is this? This is attributes of a modify.txt file. Okay. Now I am going to, I don't want this to run yet. I'm going to go here. Now, so file was modified at 1553.39. Okay, doesn't change. 1553.39. Now, where are we? View.read attributes. All right. Okay, so we have a basic file attributes view is equal to file get file attributes view basic file attributes view class. Okay, so then I go basic file attributes data is equal to view.read all attributes. So this is what creates the object that is going to read all the attributes. Okay, that's going to read all the attributes. All right, so this object data here only allows us to view the attributes. So one of the attributes we want to view is the last modified time, which is 1553.39. Right, again, 1553.39 is the same. It's not changed. Okay. Now, I want to change, so there's something called file time. So file time is a particular point in time in the lifetime of a path. Okay, in the lifetime of a path. All right, so file time, I call it last modified time, is equal to file time dot from millis data dot last modified time 2 millis plus 10,000. Now, what I have done there is we can see that this guy here is 1553, 39 seconds, and 9.9951 seconds. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 10,000 milliseconds on to 10,000 milliseconds. It's going to be 10 seconds. So I'm going to add 10 seconds onto this. All right. Now, this is only creating a file time. So this particular, so this is 10 seconds after the file was actually modified. Okay. This is 10 seconds after the file was actually modified. So here it reads, so it reads at the moment 15. So at the moment it reads 15, 53, 39. All right. Now, this is only creating a file time. We haven't modified our metadata yet. Okay. We haven't modified. Now, it's not modifying the metadata. It's only modifying the time that's held in this object here. Okay. It's only modifying the time that's held in this object here. file time less equal file time from milli, data less modified time. That will get us the amount, the time when it was last modified. Okay, this is going to add 10,000 seconds onto it. All right, so I put this guy in here. Now, so view set times last modified time null null. So set times. So first argument is the changed modified time. Second argument is the changed last access time. Third argument is the changed last created time. So we haven't changed it. Okay, let me just see. Data.last modified time. Okay, so I don't want to change it to seconds. Now, so view set times last modified time. So it's going to change it to 10 seconds after this. So it should be reading 15, 53, and 49 seconds. Fingers crossed that it will. Here we go. And it didn't, you dirty fucker. Okay. Okay, that, so what did it do? It didn't do a thing. View.set times, I'll run it again. Oh yeah, okay, it's working, it's working. All right, okay. So, wow, but that's weird the way it's working. Okay. Do it again. Oh, 9, it keeps going up to 10. So before the change, view set times last modified time. Okay. Right. View that attributes. So let me just work this through. It is working, but it's working out slightly kind of funny. Right, so this sets it to 10 seconds in the future. So it's 54. So up here, it should read 15, 54. Okay, my writing is getting worse. So this time it's reading 15, 54, 19. Okay, fine. So what I do here is I come along here and I add 10 seconds onto it. All right. View set times last modified time null null. Okay. Now it's still displaying 15, 54, 19. All right. Now, the next time I run it, I see the 10 seconds added onto it. The next time I run it, this guy up here is going to be printing 16 or 4. Oh no, it's not 16 or 4. What am I saying? It's going to be 16, 54, 29. Okay. But data modified time view that sets tab. Let me just see. View dot read attributes. Okay. All right, I think I know what's wrong here. View internal values changed. Okay. That's not, the data has not changed at that point in time. Okay, yeah, I think I understand what went wrong there. Okay, so this is data. All right. So this view is created based on this guy up is based on data. Data hasn't changed there yet. Okay. It's only when I started to, yeah, okay, right. Okay. Okay. It is working. It's just I have things running the right way. Okay. It is working. All right. Basic file view.read attributes. Okay, it is working. Okay, it is putting it forward by 10 seconds each time. All right, it is putting it by forward. It's just I have the wrong order of things here. Okay, I need to mess around with the order in order to show you. But see what it's doing here. Okay, so we have 15, 54, 39, 15. Data.last modified time. It is a basic file attributes object. You can see it's gone forward each time. All right. So you can change. What else can you change with it? Let me just say view.set times. Is there anything else we can change? Set times. Okay, there doesn't seem to much else. Right, so you can change the last modified time. Right. You can't change the size of it because that wouldn't make sense if you could change the size of it. You can't change that it's a file or directory because that wouldn't make sense either. Right, so let's see what we can change. You can't change it to directory because metadata is only holding information about it. You can't change it and say it's a regular file because, again, metadata is only about information about it. You can't say it's a symbolic file. You can't say that it's hidden. Okay. You can't change the size. All right. The only thing you can really change is the dates that are modified, last accessed, and last created. Okay. So that all kind of says to me, don't be relying on last modified time or last access time, which is, what was it called up here? What did I call them here? Last access time. Okay. Don't be relying on those because they might not be real. Now, do you know what? That's that section finished. God, that shit is boring. All right. Okay, really fucking boring. Now, what I will try to do tomorrow is I'll create another user and I'll see if I can get this other user to work. All right. Now, do you want to go messing around with your metadata? I don't fucking think so. All right. I don't know. Do you need to know that? I don't know, really. I wouldn't go changing the metadata of your file. All right. That's not really what a software developer should be doing, really. You're just pegging out stuff to files. So I don't know, should you go changing metadata of a file? Yes, you want to find out if something is executable or if you can execute in a particular location. Yes, you want to see if something is a symbolic file. Yes, you want to see something as a regular file. Yes, if you want to see something as a directory. Okay, all those sort of things are usable, are useful. Okay, but changing the actual metadata, changing the last time was modified, right, that's kind of going into a lot more strange stuff. Okay, now I could put in something there. I could add 20 seconds to the last modified time. I could, to the last access time, I could add 30 seconds onto the last created time. Okay, but do you know what now? That's us finished. That is a pile of shite, all right? In IO2, it's one more section finished, and thanks be to Jesus, we'll be finished. And then we're going to databases, which is more interesting than this shit. Okay, good luck.